Break the wheel. Make it stop.
Hello again, gentle viewers, and welcome to another episode of The Broken Wheel. In this video, we will be looking into how Season 1 of the Wheel in Time TV series differs from the first book of the book series titled The Eye of the World. There are a few reasons I want to do this. First, I want to provide context as to what was changed in the TV series and why. Second, I want to open a discussion about what people think about the differences. And third, I'm hoping this will pique the interest of those that have not read the book series and encourage them to do so. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so to help the channel grow. But with all that said, let our journey begin again. The TV series opens with a voiceover of Moiraine providing the audience with some details to set up the main plot of the series as she prepares to set out. In the book series, it is a certainty that the dragon will be reborn as a man. Egwene and Nynaeve are also not ta'veren, though I think they should have been. Then there is the chase scene of the Red Ajah cornering a man that can channel. Something to remember is that all the books have a glossary in them so that the reader can look up any terms or people that are introduced. I never understood the point of this scene other than to set up that Moiraine good, Liandrin bad. The book series begins with a prologue that takes place just after the Dark One has tainted Saidin. Lews Therin Telamon is stumbling around his home completely unaware that he has killed everyone in it, including his family. Lews Therin is then confronted by a man that at first is only known as the Man in Black. And no, he's not being followed by the Gunslinger. We learn later that this is Ishamael. The leader of the Forsaken wants to gloat over the dragon but is unsatisfied with doing so in Lews Therin's current state. Ishamael cures Lews Therin's madness and the dragon is utterly broken by what he has done. While Ishamael revels in this at first, he still tries to get Lews Therin to serve the Dark One. The dragon refuses and calls down an enormous beam of the One power down upon himself. This beam would be so powerful that it would penetrate the world's crust and create the mountain volcano that would become known as Dragonmount. Ishamael easily escapes, but vows to find the dragon in his next life. This prologue scene was actually filmed and was aired on FXX in 2015 titled Winter Dragon. It stars Max Ryan as Lews Therin Telamon and Billy Zane as Ishamael. It never received much attention as it was a low-budget production and was aired late at night. It appears the scene was only done to keep the rights to the books. I'll put a link to it in the description if you want to see it, but it's not very good. The first chapter starts with Tam and Rand al'Thor traveling from their farm to the village square on the day before the local festival of Beltane. This is a celebration of the coming spring rather than a remembrance of the departed. The name of the village, Emond's Field, is never given in the TV series. People are concerned about the lingering winter, but in good spirits for the coming festival. Rand meets up with his two friends, Matrim Mat Coffin and Perrin Aybara. Mat is the village's local troublemaker and often draws his two best friends into his shenanigans. His latest prank is to set a badger he caught loose into somebody's shop. Perrin is the apprentice of the village's blacksmith master Harol Luhan, so he lives in the village proper rather than with his family on their farm. Rand learns from his two friends that the village has hired a gleeman for this year's Beltane, Tom Merrilin, who arrived the previous night. Two strangers have also arrived, a beautiful noblewoman and her dangerous-looking bodyguard. They also express concern to each other about strange dreams they've been having and a black-robed man on a black horse that seems to be watching each of them. A regular peddler, Padan Fain, arrives and immediately tells everyone around him about the troubles of a false dragon in the kingdom of Gildan to the south, obviously liking being the center of attention. While the village council invites Fain into the local inn to hear more, the noblewoman and her bodyguard come out of the inn. She introduces herself as Moiraine Damodred and the large man with her as Lan Mandragoran. Moiraine gives each of the young men a silver coin. Rand goes to find Egwene al'Vere, whom the whole village knows are smitten with each other. Though they're still in the will they, won't they, oh just get together already stage of their relationship. Tam and Ren return to their farm, and at night they are attacked by a group of Trollocs. Tam manages to fight most of them off with his sword that has the heron mark on it. He is wounded by one of the Trollocs' tainted blades and soon collapses with fever. Rand makes a litter and spends all night making his way back to Emond's Field so that the village wisdom, Nynaeve Almere, can help his father. Along the way, Tam inadvertently tells Rand about how Rand is not Tam's biological son and that Tam found Rand as a baby. In the morning, we learn that Emond's Field was also attacked by Trollocs, but the battle is never shown to the reader. We do learn that the attack was repelled mostly thanks to Moiraine, who is an Aes Sedai, and Lan, who is her warder. Nynaeve is tending to the wounded, for she was not one of the targets of the attack. She tries to help Tam, but his condition is beyond her abilities to cure. Rand then seeks out Moraine's help, who is not injured. Though exhausted from the previous night and healing wounded villagers, she agrees to help. Moiraine uses the One Power to heal Tam to the point his life is no longer in danger. Moiraine gathers Rand, Mat, and Perrin and tells them that the Trollocs came to capture them. She doesn't elaborate as to why, except to say that the three of them are ta'veren, focal points of the pattern. Moiraine convinces them that they must leave with her to Tar Valon in order to protect the people they love. After some discussion, the three of them agree and head out to quickly gather supplies and tell people goodbye. Perrin returns with a battle axe that was given to him by Master Luhan. Rand returns with his father's sword. While making final preparations to leave unnoticed, they are discovered by Egwene, who thinks the boys are going off on some sort of adventure and refuses to be left behind. They are also found by Tom, who also insists on joining them, being distrustful of an Aes Sedai spiriting away these young people. Moiraine quickly agrees to let the two of them come along, and they set out. While on the road, Lan teaches Perrin and Rand how to use the weapons they brought. He also tells Rand the heron on the sword is the mark of a blades master, and that the blade was made with the One Power. Not only will it never need sharpening, but was made thousands of years ago. Moiraine tests Egwene with a blue gem and confirms that Egwene can channel the One Power. I wish Tom had been with them at this point, because the four young people have never been outside of the Two Rivers and are very naive about the rest of the world. Tom brings a counterbalance to Moiraine when it comes to telling them about life outside of the Two Rivers. The group is pursued by Trollocs led by a Myrddraal, called a Fade in the TV series, which was most likely the black-robed man the boys mentioned earlier. They are also being tracked by a Drakkar, a winged type of shadow spawn that has been keeping the Trollocs on their trail. Moiraine manages to lose them by sinking the ferry after they cross the River Terran and creating a thick patch of mist. The group's first rest stop is the small city of Baerlon. There they meet Min Farshaw, whom Moiraine hopes will be able to tell which of the three boys is the Dragon Reborn with her ability to see visions of people's futures. She is not, but we get the hint that she has feelings for Rand. While out exploring the city, Rand's into a disheveled Padan Fain, whom Rand thought was killed by Trollocs. The peddler is distraught by the loss of his wagon, which contained all of his possessions and wares. However, he starts asking Rand odd questions about where they're going and how. Rand and Mat also end up running afoul of an officer of the Children of the Light named Dane Bornhold. The odd dreams return, containing a man with fire coming from his eyes and mouth that calls himself Baalzamon. The night before the group is set to head out again, they are surprised by Nynaeve at the inn they are staying at, which leads to a staring contest between Nynaeve and Moiraine, where they pummel each other with the silent treatment. In case you're wondering, Moiraine totally wins. Nynaeve explains that she tracked the group of them from the Two Rivers, much to Lan's surprise. She insists that Rand, Mat, Perrin, and Egwene return home with her, but they refuse. Nynaeve then decides to join the group to protect them from whatever Moiraine has obviously dragged them into. They leave close to dawn, but are blocked by Dane Bornhold and his White Cloaks. Moiraine conjures a giant illusion of herself, which scares them off. As the group travels east, they find that they are being pursued by an even larger force of shadow spawn than before. Mat starts talking about past events that he shouldn't know and randomly speaking in the old tongue. When another force of Trollocs gets ahead of them, Moiraine takes the risky chance of turning north towards the cursed city of Shadar Logoth, hoping that they can lose their pursuers there, for even Shadow Spawn do not enter that place. During the night, Matt convinces Rand to help him look for treasure in the ruined city. While searching, they encounter a strange old man who calls himself Mordeth. He tells the two boys that he can show them where the riches are if they will help him carry it out of the city. True to his word, Mordeth leads them to a room that is full of riches. Once Rand mentions that they are with an Aes Sedai and heading for Tar Valon, Mordeth reveals himself to be Mashadar, the evil entity that inhabits the city and kills all that enter. Rand and Matt run back to the group to warn them, and soon after are attacked by the Trollocs, the Murdra apparently forcing them into the city. The party gets separated as they run from not only Shadow Spawn, but a silver fog that attacks them. Matt, Rand, and Tom find a riverboat named Spray that has moored for the night, and the crew allow them aboard. Tom tells the boat's crew that Matt and Rand are his apprentices when asked who they are. The boat's captain, Bail Doman, agrees to take the three of them as far as the town of Whitebridge in exchange for the 2 silver coins Matt and Rand have. Along the journey downriver, Tom begins teaching Rand how to play the flute and sing. Matt, who is tone deaf, learns how to juggle and tumble. Rand notices Matt becoming more reclusive and paranoid. When pressed on the issue, Matt reveals a dagger with a large ruby in the hilt that he took from Shadar Logoth, despite Moiraine's warning not to take anything from that cursed place. While at an inn in Whitebridge, the three are attacked by a Fade that appears out of the shadows. Tom confronts the Shadow Spawn and tells the boys to run. They leave the town, assuming Tom Merrilin has been killed. Matt and Rand continue towards Andor's capital city of Caemlyn, for that is where Moiraine told them to go if they got separated. Along the way, they use the performance skills Tom taught them to earn money. They seem to encounter dark friends at every turn, making it hard to know who they can trust. They also learn that the Children of the Light have been stirring unrest in the Kingdom of Andor in an effort to expand their influence. I again wish there had been more of Tom here, and also that he still had been able to teach Rand how to play the flute. This becomes an integral part of Rand's character throughout the books, in my opinion. When they reach the city of Caemlyn, Matt and Rand decide to stay at an inn that Tom Merrilin told them about. The innkeeper turns out to be an old friend of Tom's and tells the boys about Tom's nephew, Owen. Matt has become more sick and withdrawn and refuses to get out of bed. Rand goes to the inn's library and meets the Ogier Loyal. He later decides to see the false dragon, Logain Ablar, who is being paraded through Caemlyn that day on his way to Tar Valon. While climbing up a wall to get a better look, Rand loses his grip and falls into the garden on the other side. He realizes he is inside the royal palace when he meets Elaine Trakan, daughter heir of Andor, who is immediately smitten with the tall young man. They are joined by Elaine's younger brother, Gawain Trakan, and older half-brother, Gallet Damodred. While Elaine tries to sneak Rand out to avoid getting him into trouble, they are caught by the palace guards and brought before Queen Morgase Trakan and her Aes Sedai advisor, Elida do Avrini Rohain of the Red Aja. Elida advises the queen that Rand is troubled, but Morgase decides to let him go after being convinced that he has done nothing wrong. Rewind some, back to the group fleeing Shadar Logoth. Perrin and Egwene get lost in the wilderness trying to figure out which way Caemlyn is. Wolves end up leading them to a man of the wild named Elias Montera, who has golden eyes. The two learn that he is what is known as a wolf brother and can communicate with wolves. He tells Perrin that he is also a wolf brother, but Perrin rejects this idea. Elias guides Perrin and Egwene towards Caemlyn, and they encounter a caravan of the Tuatha'an, a nomadic society of people that forsake all violence and wear brightly colored clothes. They are warmly greeted by Rian and Ela, who know Elias, though Ela is not comfortable with his presence. Elias also seems uncomfortable being among the Tuatha'an and prefers to sleep away from the caravan while they are traveling with them. Rand and Ela's grandson, Aram, often flirts and dances with Egwene during this time. Perrin finds the wolves are now in his dream and seem to be protecting him from Baalzamon. I do wish this was left in, for it adds to Elias's mystique and we get to know the wolves better. Perrin learns that they each have names and personalities. After they leave the Tuatha, Perrin, Egwene, Elias, and his wolves are hounded by murders of ravens and crows. Elias suggests they head to an abandoned Ogier steading, hoping the power of steadings to prevent people from channeling will help them lose the birds. At some point, Elias guesses that Perrin is in love with Egwene, which Perrin immediately denies. The three of them find more than they bargained for when they stumble into a camp of the Children of the Light, led by Geoffrey Bornhold, the father of the White Cloak officer Mat and Rand encountered in Baerlon. While trying to flee the Children of the Light, one of Elias's wolves, Hopper, is killed, which sends Perrin into a rage he has never known. The young man ends up killing two of the White Cloaks before he and Egwene are captured by the rest. Elias manages to escape, and Bornhold plans to execute Perrin once they return to their headquarters in Amador. Poor Hopper. You were a good boy. While the character Aemon Valda is active during this time, he isn't introduced until much later. Rewinding back again to Shadar Logoth, Nynaeve sneaks up on Moiraine and Lan arguing about what has just happened. She remains unseen until Moiraine suddenly stops speaking and tells Nynaeve to come out, much to Lan's surprise again. Moiraine reveals to the younger woman that she can channel and is quite strong. Nynaeve rejects this at first until Moiraine explains that Aes Sedai can sense when another woman who can channel is near, and that is how she knew Nynaeve was watching them. Moiraine also correctly guesses that Nynaeve was able to find them in Baerlon because she had used the one power to heal one of the four young people in the past. This would allow Nynaeve to feel where that one was. Nynaeve is mortified to admit she healed Egwene of an illness as a child. Moiraine then reveals that the silver coins she gave each boy have a weave on it that will allow her to know if they are well and where they are. When Mat and Rand give up their silver coins to Captain Doman, Moiraine lost the ability to track them, so she decides to go after Perrin and Egwene first. After several days of travel, Moiraine, Lan, and Nynaeve find the camp of the Children of the Light that is holding Egwene and Perrin. They rescue the two of them from the White Cloaks, as one of them, named Jarrett Bayer, was describing to Perrin how he would be tortured before being executed. It looks like the TV series wanted to develop some characters more, which is why Moiraine is injured during the battle at Emond's Field, forcing Lan to seek out the party of Aes Sedai that had captured Logain. I do like we get to see more of the start of Lan and Nynaeve's relationship. We also see more of Logain and Liandrin, who are not in the first book. Liandrin isn't introduced until the second book, and Logain doesn't really become important until much later on. I think the TV series could have got away with just mentioning him every so often for the first few seasons if they wanted. We also learn more about the Aes Sedai Ajas and the Warders. The characters Kirini and Stefan are not in the books. They're there to further show the deep bond Aes Sedai and Warders have, which is also why this party had reds and greens. Capturing a false dragon would be solely handled by the Red Aja, and therefore there would have been no Warders. Though I did love Stefan's addition, with him bringing Kirini's ring back to the White Tower and him eventually losing his will to live. Everyone is reunited in Caemlyn. However, Mat tries to attack Moiraine with the ruby-hilted dagger, but is stopped by Lan. The Aes Sedai realizes that the dagger is cursed with the evil of Mashadar. Moiraine is able to heal some of the corruption that has taken a hold of Mat, but is not strong enough to break the dagger's hold on him. He will need to go to the White Tower to have that done. After talking with Loial and hearing about Mat, Perrin, and Rand's dreams, Moiraine concludes that they must travel to the Eye of the World in the Great Blight, the northern region of the world that has been corrupted by the Dark One. There they will be able to strike a blow at the Dark One while it is vulnerable and determine which of the three boys is the Dragon Reborn. In order to do this quickly, Moiraine convinces Loial to guide them through the Ways, an ancient means of traveling great distances once used by the Ogier. The characters never reached Tar-Valon in the first book. The TV series wanted to introduce the Armelin seat Siuan Sanche and expand on her relationship with Moiraine. There was only ever a slight suggestion that the two may have been lovers when they were training in the White Tower, but nothing more in the books. The two of them are very close and share the burden of knowing that the dragon has been reborn. While it's not necessary to channel the one power to open the ways, a key is needed that is hidden on all of the way gates. An Ogier will need to show a human what to look for in order for a human to find them. Loial is able to lead them through the ways by reading guiding stones that are in the Ogier language. He finds that many of the guiding stones have been defaced and now have writing on them in the language of the Trollocs. Lan deduces that this is how so many Shadow Spawn have been able to travel so far south of the Blight without notice. The group gains the attention of the evil entity that now inhabits the ways, Machin Shin, and are forced to flee. They exit into the kingdom of Shinar outside the fortress city of Faldara, which is located near one of the few passes that leads through the Mountain of Doom into the Great Blight. So they are warmly greeted by the city's lord, Agelmar Jagged, and learn that a great force of Shadow Spawn is poised to attack the city through Tarwin's Gap. While everyone rests before the next leg of their journey, Padan Fain is spotted climbing the walls of Faldara and imprisoned. The peddler admits to not only being a Dark Friend, but his mind has been altered by the Dark One's power so that he would be able to track Mat, Perrin, and Rand. He escaped his Murdrail keeper at Shadar Logoth and has been following them on his own ever since, including through the ways after watching Loial open the Waygate. The Eye of the World is not a place one can just go to. Its position moves and only those with a need to find it can. It also can never be found by the same person twice, which poses a problem for Moraine has been there in the past. She hopes that the Great Need and Three Ta'veren will allow her to find it a second time. The group eventually finds the Eye of the World inside of a hill. There they find a pool of what at first they think is water. A giant plant-like creature is found to be guarding this pool, which Loial immediately recognizes as a Nym that the Ogier called the Green Man. The Green Man introduces himself as Someshta, and reveals that the pool of water is actually untainted Saidin that was created by 100 Aes Sedai after the Dark One tainted it. The reservoir of Saidin was meant to be used as a weapon against the Dark One by the Dragon Reborn. They are suddenly interrupted when two of the Forsaken Aes Sedai from the Age of Legends that joined the Dark One and were imprisoned with it appear. Belthamel and Agenor both try to access the Eye, and Belthamel injures Lan and Nynaeve with the One Power. He then tries to burn his way past Someshta with weaves of fire, but the Green Man wraps himself around the Forsaken and kills him by consuming Belthamel's body with plants and fungus. With his last spark of life, Someshta takes up an acorn and grows it into a large oak tree to mark his passing. Everyone scatters to get away from the Forsaken except for Rand, who fights Agenor for control of the Eye of the World, channeling consciously for the first time. The amount of Saidin proves to be too much for Agenor, and he is burned alive by it. Rand uses the power of the Eye to destroy the Trolloc army that was set to overrun Tarwin's Gap and Faldara. Rand is then pulled into a Dream Shard, a pocket dimension of the world of dreams. There he is confronted by Baalzaman, who now knows that Rand is the Dragon Reborn. He proclaims himself as the Dark One itself and tries to tempt Rand into joining him. Rand refuses and uses the power of the Eye to set Baalzaman on fire and sever his flow of dark power with Tam's sword. Baalzaman retreats but is obviously not dead. Rand now too realizes that he can channel and is horrified by this revelation, for it means he will one day go mad and possibly kill the people he cares for. The rest of the group are all alive, suffering only minor injuries. Mat, Perrin, and Loial bring a chest out of one of the caves they had taken cover in. They open it and find the Horn of Valir, a broken disc about the size of a man's hand in the shape of the old symbol of the Aes Sedai, and the dragon banner once used by Lews Therin Telamon. Moraine confirms that the disc is made of Coendalar, an unbreakable material from the Age of Legends. This is one of the seals of the Dark One's prison, and the fact it is broken, along with the appearance of two Forsaken, confirms that the Dark One's prison is weakening. The TV series sought to do two things with how they changed the ending. The first is to condense several plot points. There is no fight with Belthamel and Agenor, so no need to elaborate on the Forsaken more and have Someshta at the Eye of the World. Rand using the Sangreal that increases his power by 100 times simplifies the pool of pure Saidin. That Rand breaks the seal on the floor made of Coendalar combines the broken seal of the Dark One's prison that is found and how Ishamael is released from his prison. The second is to not focus so much on Rand, which has been a major complaint with fans of the book series. To give you an idea, the first book is told almost 80% from Rand's perspective, so the TV series wished to change that by having Nynaeve and Egwene being pivotal to defeating the Shadowspawn, as well as the Horn of Valere being kept in Fal Dara and Perrin being there to help. I imagine something had been planned for Mat, which would have to do with Padan Fain getting the dagger from Shadar Logoth. However, there was an issue with the actor who played Mat in the first season, so he goes back to Tar Valon. A reused shot of him is used to establish this. Moiraine doesn't confront Ishamael in the first book, so she doesn't have her ability to channel taken away. This is to set up the story for her and Lan in Season 2, for they are not in much of Book 2. I absolutely love the epilogue scene with the Sanshan, for I was afraid they would not be in the TV series, but they were hinted at in one scene. Seeing them come on their ships with the Damane and Suldam creating a tidal wave was awesome. Though I do feel so bad for that poor little girl on the beach. So I hope you've enjoyed this comparison of Season 1 and Book 1 of The Wheel of Time. I also hope it's encouraged you to read the book series and look forward to future seasons. If you like this content, please consider leaving a like or a comment down below. Thank you for watching, and as always, may you walk in the light.